the opinions of the staff or management of Visionary-related entertainment.
Aloha Maui Nui. Hey, this is Josh Border here.
How you doing?
And Jason Vericart. This is the SolarCoaster, episode number 41. Hey, this is 41, guys. And we are a renewable energy themed talk show right here in lovely Maui County. We can be found here on 11:10 a.m. at 1:05 p.m. every Friday of the week. And this is episode number 41. It was actually the Solar Coin episode.
It's the Solar Coin episode, folks. I think we might be experiencing a little bit of technical difficulties with Jason's.
Oh, we'll get Jason back online in a second
here, but we'll roll through it.
And so we'll start out with some housekeeping. We'll get Jason online in a second. And so basically, Fridays at 1:05 p.m., we can be found here at KOI 1110 AM, 96.7 FM Central Maui, 96.5 West Side, 98.7 FM Upcountry. Call-ins are welcome. This is a call-in show, so 242-7800 is our call-in line. That's 242-7800. We do like having call-ins, and that helps the show kind of get along quite a bit. We got some interesting content today. Maybe people out there would be stoked to learn about SolarCoin, right? We have a website, too. Okay, and it's solar-coaster.com. There he is.
He's back, ladies and gentlemen.
We're back.
Yeah, who can fill air? No one can fill air like Josh Porter.
There you go.
Jay, welcome, man.
I figured out my problem. I had the live stream up as well. As soon as Jonah came in, I doubled everything for me. It was fantastic.
So I think we've turned our hand a little bit here. We got a little bit of a technical fix here with Jason, and we got him remoting in from somewhere else. So we're gonna
telepresence device.
Telepresence device. Leave it to Jay Vericart. And so solar-coaster.com. Jay, you want to tell us about that?
Sure. Go to the solar-coaster.com website. You can listen live. Check out the live stream, which we actually have up on YouTube. That was, of course, my technical difficulty just now, but you can actually jump in the studio with us. Your own very personal telepresence device. You can also go down the website there and sign up for the mailing list or send us questions, comments. If you can't call into the show, or you're too embarrassed to call into the show, go right ahead, fill in the form there, and you can get in touch with us right there.
Yeah, nothing to be embarrassed about. If you guys do have questions, please jump on board. This is an exploratory show. We learn together. Super fun on the coaster, right? We do have a streaming live, like Jay said, if you want to check that out on our website. And, please do follow us in whichever kind of mechanism or platform is easiest for you. We have some sponsors. The Solar Coaster has sponsors and has kept us on the air for quite a while now. I mean, darn near. I don't know. We're approaching a year soon.
We're approaching
41
a year.
episodes.
41 episodes. Right around the corner from our annual, our birthday party. Maui Solar Project, Tabuchi Electric America, Sonnen Battery, Pika Energy, and I'm not going to tell you yet. Next week, I'll tell you who the new sponsor is.
Next week.
Yes. So we got another one coming online too. So thank you so much to all our sponsors that keep us on the air and help the Solar Coaster do its thing. All right, so one announcement on behalf of a sponsor is that we have a Maui Solar Project has a new booth at the Queen Kaumanu Center Mall opening up Monday the 19th. And we're going to be talking about solar and new technologies and all the cool stuff we talk about on air. You're going to actually be able to see, in some cases, actual physical examples of. You're going to be able to see spec sheets. You're going to hear from our energy consultants, of which there are 2 in the room presently.
Hey, here we go.
Right?
Hey.
We got Jonah.
Yeah, it's me, Jonah, and we also have Jason Fellerman here live in the studio.
Want to say aloha, Jason?
Aloha.
Oh, another
it's a pleasure
Jason.
to be here with the Sultan of Solar.
The Sultan of Solar. He threw this at me when he first came in. What did you say? The Sultan? Yeah, it was crazy. Right, it's crazy. So we are, and Jason is our guest here. He's a renewable energy consultant with Maui Solar Project. You'll be able to meet Jason as well as Jonah out at Queen Kaumanu Center Mall. We're going to have a booth there, or not a booth. It's a kiosk, I think it's framed.
Kiosk.
And we'll have that open 7 days a week, so you can learn all about solar all the time. But we'll have our consultants there to talk probably between peak times like 2 to 6 p.m. ish, something in that territory. So come on in, meet us, and talk all about solar with us, and learn about what's going on in this wonderful new world. So okay, so that's the housekeeping. We got all of our tech up and running. Everybody's good. Everyone's
I think
present?
so.
Yeah?
We're rocking and rolling,
Yes, it is.
baby.
Okay, excellent. So
Right.
we're going to hear all from Jason Fellerman, along with being a Maui Solar Project energy consultant. He is also a cryptocurrency aficionado, expert,
Long-time user,
Long-time
early
user.
adopter.
Early adopter.
There you go. There you go.
So you are our guest speaker today. So Jason, thank you so much for coming in the studio. Can't tell you how much I appreciate it.
I'm super excited. This is really awesome being able to share all the new things that are going on with solar and cryptocurrency.
It's unbelievable.
It's a new world.
It is totally a new world. And after I talked with you last night, I was like, you know what? Actually, this is how this went down, right? Jason came into our sales meeting and he showed us this one sheet on SolarCoin, which is one of the core talking points for today. And I was like, wow, that looks really cool. And then we finished up.
That
our
was a
meeting.
great infographic.
It was awesome. Yeah. And then later on in the day, I'm talking with Jason about, we got a roster of shows, right? We got some really cool shows lined up. But I was like, I can't think about anything but SolarCoin.
It's a really, really, really exciting thing. It's new because it brings together a lot of things that people aren't really expecting that it brings together. It's a concept that if you're into solar and if you're a little curious about cryptocurrency, seeing these two things happen will really excite you.
It is really mind blowing, and after that kind of revelation, I was like, all right, I just got to kind of scratch my own itch on this one. So I called up Jason. I'm like, Jason Verkart, and I was like, hey Verkart, I think we should do SolarCoin. Are we going to do this? And he's like, yeah, I can see Jay was digging it. And I called you up, and I pitched you late last night. I was like, let's just do the radio tomorrow. What do you think? And he's like, yeah. And
Might
then
as well.
and kudos to you for taking the bull by the horns and just going for it. I love it, man. It was awesome.
Well, I did do drama in senior year in high school, so I didn't have to
Oh,
play
God.
sports. So I do have that backing right now. I'm really
Fantastic.
resting on my laurels right now, but I'm going to do the best I can to be entertaining and informative.
Well, I think I've got a sense for you, so I think you're going to do great. So we're going to jump into our news and events section. We're going to dig into some of the cool things that are happening in the world, of which there are many. And then after that, we'll jump into cryptocurrency and dig in. And Jason, feel free to. I'm going to say Fellerman and Verkart for the show, okay? So Fellerman, feel free to jump in at any moment, okay?
All right.
Jay, you ready to do our news and events?
Yeah, let's do it. Here we go. All right.
All right. So
No news. No news music.
Let's take a look at what's going on globally, Jay. Did you see that article that I put out earlier about from Utility Dive?
The first one, from Utility Dive, how solar owners post-hurricane demand for batteries could impact utilities. This is really interesting to me because they're looking at it from the other side of the puzzle. Everybody who went through some severe weather or was watching the severe weather over the past year really got a sense that, having some battery backup would not be a bad idea. Yeah. And it's a really obvious thing for that, from that respect. But there's actually a lot more that comes from it. And specifically with the fact that you'd be able to use, once you put this battery in, you are able to store and use more energy than you would have otherwise.
Sure, yeah. And then
your own energy.
Yeah. And we're seeing, what's interesting about this, I think, is that if you were to go back a couple of years, there was still this discussion of, hey, what's the ROI of batteries? It's not going to work. It's too expensive. And then you come a few years down the road and you have some deployments put in place, right? Then you have some, and simultaneous to that, you're seeing a squeezing of the cost, right? So like the cost of storage is just straight coming down and coming down precipitously. It has been coming down precipitously.
Yeah, it's a steep curve.
It very well may plateau, actually, now, where we're at now, and we'll look more into that and talk more about that. But what's really amazing is that you see this kind of, these deployments happen, and then we have these extreme weather events. We have, what was it? It was, I can't even remember them all. There's so many of them. There was Texas, there was Florida, there's Puerto Rico, and those are the ones that our news captured and kind of actually focused in on in the United States. But I mean, there's stuff happening all around the world at this level. And in these environments, there actually were some solar plus storage systems. And you know what it turned out? It saved the communities, right? So it was and people were, people that had the solar plus storage in their home. Remember that woman with Sonnen Battery, one of our sponsors in Florida, and she had a system set up, and then the entire community was coming in, charging their phones, taking care of each other, and so that's kind of, now we're in this almost post proof of concept or proof of utility environment, and now we're seeing that, hey, this is something that really is going to happen globally. We're seeing that that people are trying to figure out how to value the how to almost quantify the value that's presented by resiliency for the electric grid and for our lives.
Right. Yeah, and so that's what this article is all about. They go into specifics. They used a 2015 survey for to kind of value the benefit. It's like how much work was lost, how much. I mean, for businesses, how much. Yeah, all this stuff went into it, and they were actually able to put a value of was it $2,368 per hour of outage, right?
$2,000 per hour of outage.
So 2,300. So almost, it's more if you want to round up, 2,400. But $2,400 per hour of outage for for residential customers. So that's what the actual value is.
That's amazing.
And so if you add that to your current return on investment model for your solar system, it basically doubles.
So let me just see if I understand that. So $2,400 per hour. So we're saying that if you were able to provide 10 hours of independence, is that what I'm hearing? That's worth $24,000?
Yes.
Over the lifespan of the system?
Over the lifespan of the system,
Gotcha.
Right? It's not just that one.
That's crazy.
Particular hour.
That is amazing.
It's still huge. It's a huge number, and like I said, it basically halves your net present value.
Whoa! So there you go for all the ROIers out there, ROIers, and that's a big conversation.
Well, think about it. Honestly, I mean, just for me, I mean, it annoys me no end. We live up country. I lose power once a month for about 45 minutes. Yeah. But God, that 45 minutes is annoying. It always comes at the worst possible time. And how much is your time worth?
Seriously, that's interesting, and that answer varies. But I mean, I think that's
for sure.
I think that's very interesting, and I think that it'll be fun to put that into a proposal and say, hey, this is what this utility time said, and see how people respond.
At the end of the day, is do you value the resiliency or not?
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard to put a number on it. And they were, like I said, they went through a big customer survey there, and there were businesses on this list and everything else. And when they're down, they're losing money. And I think that probably overinflated the value a little bit.
Wow.
But honestly, still think about it when you go into purchase.
Very good, very good. So that was Utility Dive. They're talking about a variety of things there. The title of it was How Solar Owners Post-Hurricane Demand for Batteries Could Impact Utilities, and that was the kind of our key takeaway there, right, Jay? So let's take a look at nationally. We consider that a global discussion because that's going to affect everybody around the world. Let's look at some of the things that are happening nationally. One of the big conversations is the tariffs and what's going to happen and what's going on. It doesn't look like solar is going to miss a beat here, right? But this is one article from Green Tech Media, a great go-to source, and it says solar is going to win bigly. I love that word, bigly. It's a great word.
Who said that?
It says the title of the article.
I know. This is another one that's really, really interesting. We talked before. There are basically two thresholds where when utility scale stuff, when utility is looking at, or companies are looking at making a utility scale power plant, right? They basically want a return on their investment as well. That's what they're looking for. And so if building a coal-fired plant is more expensive than building the same amount of solar, then they're going to build the solar because it's cheaper. So that's the first threshold to mass adoption, is when you're building new plants. The second threshold is when it's actually cheaper to build a new solar plant than keep buying the coal.
Right.
And so for an existing plant, we haven't reached that threshold yet, but the graph down in this particular article clearly shows the trend. It's a very steep curve. Do you see it? It's about a quarter of the way down the page. It shows all the little the blue dots are all the little solar, and it cuts right through this. They actually use natural gas for this one,
right?
Because natural gas is more common on the mainland. But and we do use diesel here. But you can clearly see this intersection at around the late 2015, early 2016 kind of line, where building new solar passed natural gas.
Unbelievable. It's such an exciting time, right? There's so much happening in this space. We talk about the title of the article after you get into it is Why Solar is on a Path to Dominance. I mean, it's not it's not ambiguous, right? And
No,
then,
no. Well, that's that line.
yeah, right.
It's really hard to argue.
You know, we just got out of a conversation with this amazing fellow named Andre Richter out of he works for an organization called Meyer Burger from Switzerland. Switzerland, right? It's a tooling manufacturer for bifacial panels. And he had just got off a plane from China, and he said he was looking at we're gonna have a show on this, I think, right, Jay, later on down the road. He was witnessing a 50 gigawatt solar installation in western China, about 1,500 miles west of Shanghai, and they had 4 1.1 megavolt transmission lines moving that power over 1,500 miles DC into Shanghai. So this is what's happening in large-scale solar in China.
Yahoo! I was going to call you on the gigawatt thing. It's gigawatt, but
how did the Austrian say it? Because he kept saying gigawatt, so I just went for it.
Did he really?
Yeah.
He's watched Back to the Future too many times. The high voltage DC number that you just quoted though is insane. Are you sure that's accurate?
I'm telling you, I have it recorded. I'll play the recording on the next show if you want.
Please do.
I mean, it's the largest I've seen, I think, across the country. And Eric Lacow is a good friend of ours, and he said he's listening to the show, and he's a power engineer and an attorney, so I think he's going to be able to give me some feedback on whether that's real or not. But the highest I've seen in the articles across the country is about 600,000, right? So
right.
about half of that. And that was what Andre was so excited about, you know. So we're definitely seeing some amazing things happen in CNI space, large-scale solar across not only the country but the world. And it doesn't look like these tariffs are going to get in the way.
Yeah, no,
right?
Absolutely not. And that's kind of what we're going to talk about next. Is that solar panels are just ubiquitous, right? And they're basically everywhere. People had stockpiled them I mean, we were talking about it pretty much every day, that people were stockpiling panels because they were afraid of where the tariffs were going to go. We basically bought large warehouses of panels pre-tariff, and those are fine. Any of the projects that were in process already have gone past that point. They had either purchased the panels and they're already incoming, so they're exempt from tariff. I mean, we avoided the majority of this.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I mean, actually, it does kind of feel like there was a bit of a balance. You know, I've been on a conference call the other day with a bunch of other kind of company leaders across the country in the renewable energy space, and they were talking about how the CNI space could see a little bit of a slowdown, but like we're going to have the build out with the existing panels that were kind of captured pre-tariff, and then once that 5% reduction of the tariff hits in 19, that we may see another ramp in the CNI kind of space in the really big installs, because they're having a rough time keeping it south of $1 a watt, and that 5% actually is pretty relevant right there. So yeah, I mean, geez, was that out of that ARS Technica article, Jay, or was that from the same article?
That was a different one. I don't remember which article.
Well, which one do you want to do for the rest of National, Jay?
Let's go into that's. I want to talk about this though. This is expanding solar in low-income communities.
Yeah,
is that you would actually put this into the end of National, and it really does. So this whole article, again from Green Tech Media, February 16th, so just now, is all about how trying to get solar into low income is fraught with challenges, but can be done. The issue is that it's who pays the bills, because it all comes down to that return on investment and who's going to actually get the benefit from installing solar in these communities, or specific housing. A lot of places have a number of low-income tenants behind a single meter, which makes things more difficult. And then who actually pays for the building? So there's so many different people there with a stake in it. And yet, no one's quite sure how to do it right.
Well, I'm actually working on some of these projects, and of course, I won't mention the projects themselves. But I mean, similar kinds. First of all, we have community solar that just got permitted. They're permitted or approved, right, for Hawaii, and we're actually behind the 8 ball on that. This has been happening across the country for a while, and that was Blue Planet Foundation, some of our friends and colleagues out there that actually kind of shotgun that legislation, one of Hank Rogers' initiatives, and we had Melissa Miyashiro on a couple shows back, and she was talking about the approval of community solar. That's fantastic. fantastic. That's a way to reach these underserved communities. In addition to that, we have third-party power purchase agreements, right? And that's been happening for years, but we're starting to see maybe those communities weren't serviced completely, and those are opportunities there. There are opportunities for investors, and there's opportunities there for the community because maybe they weren't top of mind when the other solar systems were going in. So we're actually working on some of these right now. So exactly what's being referenced here, and I think that's a great thing, and I think that's something that really is powerful for a community. When people start thinking about energy, they start thinking about how they use their energy. I think it really is just a wonderful process, and it's exciting to think of that kind of being democratized.
Yeah, and these are the people we cannot leave behind through this whole energy revolution.
Critical. Very good stuff.
Because it's just going to get more and more expensive to use the traditional fuel sources.
Right, and that's the other piece of the puzzle too, right? The irony is that the lower income groups could actually be saddled with the cost of the infrastructure if we don't do things correctly with how we deploy renewable energies.
Not to mention carbon.
Right. Not to mention carbon. Yeah, exactly. All right, let's jump into Hawaii because there is some awesome stuff happening here in Hawaii, Jay. We have this article from Honolulu Civil Beat. We're actually running a little long on our news and events here, but let's just grab one from Hawaii, one from Maui if we can.
Sure.
So it's basically new solar panel tariff won't hurt Hawaii. So it's more of the same. This is from Honolulu Civil Beat. And they're talking about the tariffs, and they actually quantify the delta, the increase in cost for your average solar system here in Hawaii. And we're talking about something like 3 to 4% of the system cost. With these new tariffs in place. And that's actually a pretty small number.
Relatively speaking, but I mean, the nice thing about this is that it's not like one particular installer or one. I mean, everybody's got to deal with this. So you're going to see a little 3 to 4% bump in total system costs across the board, no matter who you ask to do your installation, and it does come down relatively quickly. It is a 4-year. Yeah, 4-year tariff situation. So it declines to less than 2% in the 4th year. So if you can or want to hold out for a couple more years, you will see that steadily decrease until the tariff expires.
Yeah, so, and then but if you were to measure that against the savings that you've foregone, of course it's not going to pencil. So at the end of the day, it's really a wash from my perspective, and what a lot of these articles seem to be saying. And then let's move over to Maui, Jay. There's something exciting going on here in Molokai, in our own backyard. What is that all about?
Okay, so new solar project could mean lower electric bills for Molokai residents. This is a 2.7 megawatt project that includes a 3 megawatt battery energy storage system, expected to be end up running by the end of next year, so 2019, the end of 2019. But they just reached an agreement with MECO to purchase the energy from this project, and it's going to be up and running for 22 years, which is fantastic. Now, so Molokai is getting their first large-scale solar. And
Molokai, what does that do for the percentage? They don't even mention it in this article, do they? What is the percentage?
Not really. I had looked up in relation to the large Tesla build on Kauai, which was a really big installations, 52 megawatt hours plus 13 of battery, plus 13 megawatt of solar. So it's not nearly that size.
Yeah, but in terms of like Molokai's consumption,
actual population, the 3,200 customers. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, and Sharon Suzuki, and by the way, we're doing some outreach right now to try to get Sharon on air. We'll see what happens. Hopefully, Sharon, please come on the SolarCoaster. And president of Maui Electric, she said that this is an important step towards 100% renewable energy. So I'm just interested to know, does that put them at 50 or 70 or 80? Where the heck are we? Right? I mean, it sounds like we're almost there. Right, so we'll have to figure that out and then bring that back into the next show. So,
well, it's an important step because it is their first step, right? Well, so it's a large scale install that they're finally doing. Where they are total, I don't think it matters quite so much. They're going to be along with us every step of the way, and we have a state mandate by 2040. So you're gonna get there.
And we got to do one last article here, and this is definitely our longest news and events ever. And by the way, Jay, this is what happens when we pre-record 2 shows, right? We try to squeeze all our news and events in. So the last couple of shows, if you didn't pick it up, we're actually pre-recorded. Everybody, we took a little vacation, and so there are 2 utility programs were actually approved. Smart Export and Customer Grid Supply are open and ready to go, right?
Yay! Round of applause for
Yeah,
this.
bravo.
Finally approved the Smart Export and Customer Grid Supply Plus variation of the CGS program. So yes.
So if you want to learn all about Smart Export, where you can get compensated for energy and power from your batteries from 9 p.m. to 4 a.m. Is that what it says right there, Jay? And
9 p.m. to 4.
Or 4 p.m. to 9 a.m.
4 p.m. to 9 a.m.
Correction, 4 p.m. to 9 a.m. And then you can learn about that. I think it's Maui has 14.41 cents as the tariff, as the compensation amount. And there's some scenarios where Smart Export actually may be very relevant. We'll talk about that. You can learn about that. We'll definitely be discussing this at the kiosk for Maui Solar Project in the mall. And then Customer Grid Supply Plus. This is a backfeeding program where you don't necessarily need batteries. We have a backfeeding program, people. The grid is not closed, people. Isn't that wonderful? Maui.
This is a biggie.
Yeah, that's a biggie. 12.17 cents. And then we can talk a little bit about how batteries may or may not play a role in your system, in your CGS Plus system. So there you go. Big news. We have.
Now, just before you step away from the news, this is important. These programs tend to reach capacity. Applications start on February 20th. If you do want to get in on this, go to your solar installer and get in line, because they do start to fill up quick.
Good point. Thank you for bringing that up, Jay. And I'm going to tell you what, we're about to go to our commercial run, and once we get back from our commercial run, we're going to hear from Jason Fellerman all about cryptocurrencies and SolarCoin. He's going to say something really interesting, I think, which is that everybody out there that has a solar system in Maui and throughout Hawaii and throughout the world has money they don't know about.
Wow.
Aloha and welcome to Maui Solar Project. It is easy to feel rejuvenated just stepping outside on a magnificent Hawaiian day. Maui Solar Project is here to help harness that energy you feel in your body and use it to power your homes and businesses. As lore tells us, Maui harnessed the sun so as to slow its path across the sky. Join Maui Solar Project as we harness the sun's energy and slow Hawaii's dependence on fossil fuels. Call Maui Solar Project at 269-2352. MauiSolarProject.org.
Tabuchi Electric, a leading worldwide inverter manufacturer, presents the second generation of the Eco-Intelligent Battery System, the IBIS. Tabuchi's grid-friendly system includes a high-efficiency inverter, stackable batteries, and integration with Jelly software for the most adaptable battery storage system on the market. The system is optimized for energy management and cost performance. Maximize your solar investment with Tabuchi's electric Eco-Intelligent Battery System.
The Sonnen Battery Eco is an energy storage solution that utilizes intelligent energy management software. The system is available in a variety of storage capacities and allows for expansion. Sonnen Battery Eco allows you to save money by harvesting energy from your solar PV system and using that stored energy when rates are more expensive. Sonnen Battery Eco is specifically designed to provide you and your family peace of mind in the event of power outage. Our unique power detection system will sense outages in real time and automatically switch over to battery power. See Sonnen Battery Eco at sonnen-battery.com.
MIT founded Pika Energy, makers of the Pika Energy Island, a smart energy management system that uses solar panels, lithium batteries, and intelligence to manage your energy and keep you powered even during outages. With a clean, intelligent alternative to grid power, you're in control of your energy future. Pika's Energy Island lets you manage electrical costs with HECO-ready self-supply functions. Pika's largest battery, the Harbor Plus, offers 16 kilowatt hours of stored energy and can power loads of up to 10 kilowatts. And if you need more capacity, just add a second or even third Harbor Smart battery to the same system for a maximum of 48 kilowatt hours of usable storage. Pika Energy, own your power. To learn more, visit pika-energy.com.
Okay, those are our wonderful sponsors. Thank you so much for keeping us on the air. We really appreciate you guys.
Thank you, sponsors. Yay.
All right. So, woohoo. So we are going to jump right into this amazing topic for our product focus today. It's SolarCoin, Bitcoin, cryptocurrencies, blockchain. There are so many words here that are new to me. I don't even know where to begin. And we have wonderful Jason Fellerman in here to help us out and kind of help us navigate some of these kind of things.
I'm so excited to be here.
It's great. It's
really,
great.
You know, the Sultan of Solar. There is a lot of terms. There is a whole new language in the space of cryptocurrency. But, you know, it's funny. We are here to talk about SolarCoin, which is the Bitcoin of solar. But there is more behind that, too. And, you know, you don't want to get too deep into things without talking about the language of cryptocurrency. But to make things really easy, when people say cryptocurrency or blockchain, what does that mean?
What does that mean?
What does that mean? Well, let's make it really easy. The way it affects people is that instead of in the past where we always needed a bank, we needed to put money in the bank to use our cards or to write a check to make transactions with other people. Now what blockchain technology does is it allows all those transactions to happen without a bank, without a third party.
Right.
And so that is the most topical, easy way to take a look at it. If we were to go one layer deeper to try to understand what blockchain technology is, it's a distributed open ledger that's transparent. So, when you think about ledger, or you think about doing your books for your business or your home, you've got a list of all the transactions in and out that you've ever done. Now, today, most people, what that means is that maybe they have that recorded at their bank. And if you or I were to do a transaction, it would be recorded. But it's also, one of those things where it is just person to person. What distributed ledger technology does, what the blockchain does, is that every transaction is not only recorded, but is confirmed among all the millions of computers that are part of the Bitcoin network. Not only is it confirmed, but it's transparent, meaning that you, me, or any kid in school can go and use something called the Block Explorer right on their computer and put in a Bitcoin address. And the Bitcoin address won't say who the person was or whatever, but you could say, well, this is my Bitcoin address, or this is the money or the Bitcoin I sent to another address, and see the transactions there. So that's why it is through both cryptography and also this consensus of and total transparency. That's why it's completely, it's not a hackable or a mutable thing. Someone can't decide to be the bad apple and say, oh, I'm just going to add a zero here, or this didn't happen in this ledger. It actually did happen, and in fact, all 50 million other computers that are using this have confirmed this transaction.
So that's amazing. What a great explanation. Thank you. Actually,
really, thanks. Sometimes I feel like I have a bunch of marbles in my mouth because I've said it so many times, and then you have to, you really have to share this. Go slow.
Well, you actually got this blockhead a little bit farther down the road with blockchain. That just came out of the blue, by the way. That wasn't prepped. But I got a sense for really how it functions, and that's pretty remarkable. So it sounds like it doesn't. My takeaway on that, on just the concept of cryptocurrency, is that there is. It's not necessarily living in one space. It's living in the entire community. Is that what I'm hearing?
That's right. It's not just living in one computer. You can't call up 1-800-blockchain or Bitcoin or Monero or any of them and reach somebody that is sitting on top of a bunch of servers that's in charge. It has a little bit of a life of its own. And if you were to talk to any programmer today and what they're excited about, what is the big difference between now and years ago, is that they write some algorithms and it lives everywhere.
Whoa.
It doesn't just live in one spot, and it's actually, its lifeblood is the fact that it lives everywhere and is confirmed by everywhere, all the computers on the network, and is transparent to anyone on or off the network.
Okay. So this is just amazing to me already. We haven't even got the solar coin yet.
Yeah, right? We haven't even gotten solar coin.
So Jason, I know that you've got some enthusiasm and some background and excitement in this, and you got some ideas of what's going on. From one of the things that occurs to me as well, the second kind of core thing is that if I'm a government that likes to control my currency, I don't think I'm really excited about there being another currency. Is it something that governments are wary of? Or are they suspicious of?
Because I'm not a political expert, but I do follow the news. And just to keep it really brief and easy, every time you've heard, oh, Bitcoin is dead, or it's dead, it's not working, it's always come back. And every time you've heard on the news, this country so-and-so wants to make it illegal, which is what we call fear and doubt. What it actually was, in many of those cases with South Korea and Japan, they said, they're going to make this illegal, or they're going to, but really all they were doing was that they were regulating it. When a country says, we want to regulate this and put rules in place to protect everyone, and also so that we can tax it, it's there for the long haul. So the tax incentive alone for governments, like the American government and the IRS, are very excited about this year.
There's another way to look at this.
Same with Japan, same with South Korea, same with China. No matter what fear and doubt you hear about cryptocurrency, I would encourage you to go take a look at the tax laws in these other countries and see they are really chomping at the bit. So excited to get a percentage.
So there's an incentive there for governments to regulate, get engaged, and support this.
So when you hear regulation, it's a good thing. It keeps out the shysters. It keeps out any of the shenanigans that a new technology or a new thing would obviously have with it.
Right.
So it's being made safer and being more organized, so it can be taxed by governments. And there is no government that is right now that I know of. Like I said, I'm not a political expert that is actively against it. And in fact, the last SEC meeting in Washington, a lot of the regulators that were there, none of them sounded, you can find it online, none of them sounded negative. In fact, all of them sounded positive, like, we want to regulate this.
This is exciting.
This is exciting. We want to put rules around it. So it's not going away. It's something that is incentivized to the world, all the way from us normal people all the way up to the political class.
Okay, and then we're seeing it all across the world right now. Jay, what say you? We started talking about this last night. Vericart, I'm going to say Vericart. Vericart, what are your thoughts on this? Help me get a take from Vericart's perspective.
Okay, well, I can absolutely confirm that the whole Japan connection, I've been in Japan for the past couple of weeks, and it is all over the news. The interesting thing is they're calling it binary here, which is odd to me, because binary to me, I program microcontrollers. Binary is the languages of ones and zeros, but that is what it is. But it's all over the news here. It's become a very popular thing. Anything that grows at the exponential rate that these cryptocurrencies are growing is a very attractive target for taxation, because there are obviously limits. It's a short-term capital gain that is absolutely monstrous, right? And they get to tax that in a very different way. So,
It's very true. It's very true.
Yeah.
The long term is half of what the short term tax is. And and I was reading an article, just about the size, the market size of all cryptocurrencies, which is really just a drop in the bucket compared to, say, what like a G20, the amount of finance and money that is out there. But the thing is that everyone's taking notice, because there's nothing else that has 10x gains in less than a year.
Right.
The whole market. Right. We're not just talking about one little thing. The whole market is massive.
Right. The other thing is that they're treating it very much like a commodity these days, where it's a thing like gold. You can buy and sell gold. It's a legitimate commodity. The issue came when people were talking about making actual coins. And if you remember way back in the late 90s, early 2000s, there was a gentleman on Oahu making his own coins, a private currency. and it's Bernard von Nothaus was his name. Actually, still is his name. I don't think he's dead. But he started the Royal Hawaii Mint Company, and he was actually minting his own Liberty dollars. So he would be able to go into the mint company and give him U.S. dollars and get a gold or silver Liberty, American Liberty dollar, printed by this guy. And he had an exchange rate and the whole damn deal. Sorry, but they shut him down in 2007, I think, completely, because he was basically it's illegal to make your own currency, and yet he ran for almost 10 years. He was up and running for almost 10 years.
So how does this differ? How's what's happening now different from that?
Well, if I could chime in, right now most of the cryptos are being classed and treated like securities, which is, like you said, commodities, but a security a little different, because there's rules about buying and trading and selling them on the open market, not really making a straight brand new kind of money. So
right. I like on the SolarCoin website, the fact, right? What is SolarCoin? Right, and they compare it to air miles.
Yeah, right. It's an incentive. It's a reward program, essentially.
It's not illegal to have air miles. Therefore.
Right. And so here's that's amazing. So here we're still talking about cryptocurrencies. We're going to break into SolarCoin specifically shortly. There are a couple of things about cryptocurrencies that I do want to address before we get further down the road. One of them is this article in CNET, and I think it was back in February 15, so that would be yesterday. Bitcoin, it says big investing but still lousy for buying a sandwich. What does that mean? And we're talking about so people are thinking of it as a currency. In actuality, it's more like a security. So is it that it's not quite as movable as the money that we're accustomed to using, or liquid as the money that we're accustomed to using?
Well, the thing about Bitcoin is that since it's a massive rise in price in 2017, the cost for the miners or for the transactions has come a lot higher. Bitcoin wasn't designed to be lightning fast, so it's slow in its transaction compared to a lot of things, and it's a little bit it can be pricey, maybe not as pricey as some bank fees, but it can be pricey. But the answer to that is, and why for many years there's been Litecoin, and there's Monero, and there's Dash.
These are other forms of cryptocurrency.
Other forms of cryptocurrency that basically their transaction time is lightning fast.
Oh, okay.
The cost for using it is very quickly. So in the near future, you're not going to use Bitcoin to go buy a cup of coffee. You're going to be holding onto Bitcoin as you would a security or a commodity like gold or silver or even real estate. It's the core developers of Bitcoin at this point, they even state that Bitcoin should, and they want it to be, a gold or store of value, as opposed to Bitcoin Cash. And I don't want to get too deep into cryptos. I want to stick with SolarCoin, but which was designed as forked off of Bitcoin, designed to have much faster transaction times and lower transaction fees.
Gotcha. So we're really talking about two different things here.
We're talking about two different things.
Got it.
Bitcoin
Okay.
is the gold of cryptos.
So gold as well is kind of lousy for buying a.
Yeah, you wouldn't walk around with a big gold
buying a
coin,
sandwich, right?
Yeah, I mean,
Jersey Mike's with a big gold bar. And
I'm sure Jersey Mike would love it, but boy, it'd be hard to give change.
Right. Very good. So you got that one answered
Shave it
really
off.
great. Thank you so much for that.
Yep.
Okay, so that being said, I mean that for me that kind of gets my head around the basics of crypto and Bitcoin. I think, right?
Yeah, that's a good start.
Right,
That's a
good start. So now let's talk about this thing that kind of blew my mind yesterday when you brought it into our meeting, SolarCoin, right? And SolarCoin. So I think, as I understand it, there's some criticisms about the environmental component of Bitcoin, because mining all of that Bitcoin requires use of energy. Energy is often from fossil fuels, and then we're talking about what kind of impact is this.
SolarCoin is the one crypto where the environmental impact of mining cryptos is baked. The solution is baked into the cake with SolarCoin.
Well, they're pre-mined, right? I mean, that's the thing.
The majority of them are right now. They have pre-mined them, but they plan on, and they're being held. So if we back up a little bit, SolarCoin is a philanthropic foundation. What they want to do is they want to use this crypto and give it away to people who are producers of solar energy, whether they're a tiny little residential or a whole solar farm. This is, and it's right in their mission statement. They want to use this as an incentive to switch over to a solar-based economy. So, we can look at a lot of ideas of what are the incentives behind solar, from tax incentives and things like that.
This is great.
But what this does is it goes across national and state regulations. It goes across all sorts of barriers where just like the way that Sears or Amazon might.
Right.
Here is an incentive like miles. We can get into the little bit of the nitty gritty. It's actually pretty easy of how SolarCoin works and what your kilowatts translate into. But at the end of the day, you get free solar coins from this philanthropic foundation.
So let's absolutely. That's a great explanation. And just to back up a little bit, Jay, if you recall, we met a fella in SPI. Was it SPI Vegas at the Mandalay Bay at the Aloha party? There were probably about 10,000 solar geeks at a party at the Mandalay Bay Hotel. We were there with our recorder, walking around interviewing these people, right? And we run into this fella, and he starts talking about SolarCoin, and me and Jay are like, "What?" The size of the question marks on our head were huge, right? And then we went in specifically to interview you guys. You got to interview our CEO, and it was actually not a SolarCoin guy. He was a home energy system monitoring company called SMAPI, of which Jay got a system, and he put it on his house, and he's been watching. And SMAPI is a really interesting technology where you can get a character identified by different devices all around your house. It kind of learns, and then it helps you to potentially manage through smart plugs the use of that energy. Did I sum it up roughly correctly, Jay?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's
in fact,
snappy,
it's
right?
funny. I got a message yesterday saying I've identified your new vacuum cleaner. Well, thank you very much. Told me exactly when I was using my vacuum, but it did it all automatically. It's actually really nice. But the interesting thing about it was that they were going to go in and because they monitor both generation and use. So the SMAPI system will be one of those monitoring systems that will be approved by the Solar Coin Foundation as a legitimate proof of generation.
And so they were describing SolarCoin. The SolarCoin that
Right.
Fellerman's talking about right now, that is what the Belgian CEO of SMAPI was telling us in
Correct.
SPI. Okay, got it.
Correct.
Got it. All right,
Yes.
so it's the same, one and the same, right? So this is out there, these ideas are there, but but now we're let's learn about SolarCoin and what SolarCoin is like in its purest form. What do we got here?
Well, I think we covered the basics where we're talking about it's a philanthropic idea. People who generate solar power at any level are able to receive solar coins. And basically, it's a really easy process. All that they need to do is go through their installer and come up with some paperwork and go online. And they just, once the Solar Coin Foundation approves them, basically verifying that yes, indeed, they do generate power, and this is how much their nameplate of kilowatts is, or or bigger, whatever it is. Then they reward coins based on how much power that you generate. Now, if you break it down and say you have a small residential system, we're not talking about a huge pirate's treasure worth of solar coins dropping down onto a. But what happens is that interestingly enough, anyone who is interested in crypto or might want to get crypto or mine crypto now or in the future, they don't necessarily need to do that. They can get their solar coins, they can hold on to them and wait for the value to go up. Now, solar coin topped out about a month ago at about $2.50. It started in 2014. It was just a couple of cents. And, that's a huge rise and should rise more and more. Now, you take that and you hold on to those solar coins on any open exchange for cryptocurrency. You can exchange those coins for Bitcoin or Litecoin or whatever, and depending on what state you're in and your use of exchanges, you could change that into cash.
This is amazing. So let me understand here. So if everybody that's listening to this show that has a solar system, there's something in the territory of about 13,000 people, I think, last time I checked.
If you live in Hawaii and you've had a solar panels installed on your roof, retroactively since I believe September of 2010.
Okay, so
January 1.
January 1, 2010.
January 1. I did look that up. I ran into it yesterday. I'm actually an early NEM system, as long-time listeners will know.
Yeah.
So I lose a couple of years.
He tried to sign himself up last night, by the way.
I did.
Yeah, he's working on SolarCoin right now.
Okay, so if you've had solar panels since 2010, retroactively, once you sign up with the Solar Coin Foundation, they will reward you solar coins for all the power you've produced in the last 8 years.
Okay, so let's just hold the train.
Hold the train.
So for all the people out there in Hawaii, right, we've got about, I think, 500,000 utility account holders throughout the state of Hawaii, right, somewhere in that territory. Mm-hmm. And in Maui, we've got about 60,000 utility account holders. Maybe about 13,000 or so of them, maybe more now, have a NEM system, right?
Yes.
And so if all of those people right now, if they've been installed for 1, 2, 5, 10, up to this 2010 January,
about 8 years.
8 years, they can retroactively they can sign up and then retroactively get that value. They'll be awarded a solar coin right away.
They'll be rewarded their solar coins retroactively since 2010, and they can take those solar coins and exchange that for Bitcoin or any other cryptocurrency and later on cash if they want to.
And how much generation equals one solar coin?
Right now they have a metric, but it's approximately...
I think it's 1 megawatt hour.
It's 1 megawatt hour.
Yeah.
And so if you did the 365 times, and it comes out, and then you do the math, but basically a small system, you're talking maybe 14 coins in a year.
That much?
Yeah, 12 coins. Depends. Well, it depends what's small and big.
I'm not sure because a megawatt hour, Jay. What say you on this? A megawatt hour.
I'm not.
I think we got our zeros mixed up on that.
Oh, so about 3 then. Maybe,
so if you're we'll have to do some math on this, but a megawatt hour is quite a bit of juice.
Yeah.
Right. So my take on that is it's probably in the territory of the lifetime of the existing system
for 25 years.
Jay, how about you? Do you get a sense to do the math for yours? Did you?
Yeah, that's mine. I haven't gone through the calculator yet because I don't have my documentation with me.
Right.
So I haven't been able to get in there and actually do that. There is a calculator on.
Okay.
On the
system. That's what we need.
So we were all
actually go in there.
We were all having a rough time figuring this one out yesterday, right?
Yeah.
So the bottom line is that I think the takeaway here is that it's retroactively applied.
Yes.
That if you have a solar system installed, you can go in, you can log in, and you can get what is effectively a currency, a money,
retroactive
a value.
credit. Yeah, everybody has money on the table.
Retroactive reward for being part of the solar economy.
This is awesome. And then just if we take a look at that right there as an additional incentive, right? If we kind of hold that issue of the calculation, we'll figure that out and we'll dial it in and do a couple examples. We got 4 minutes here. But the thing that blows my mind about this that I really love is that for solar there are a handful of different incentives. There's I want to save money against my utility bill. There's, I want to get tax credits in order to help me do that. Hey, we just talked about another incentive and quantifying it about resiliency against the grid going down, another incentive. Whoa. And then what's this other one? This other one is this kind of it's this notion of I tend to think of the tragedy of the commons, right? It's like our from microeconomics in college, right? You got an MBA, Jonah. You remember this one? So this world of ours is not being protected because nobody necessarily thinks they own it, right? There's carbon trading ideas being floated, all these different stuff. But if people can get incentivized by doing this wonderful thing, there's this other incentive out there, right? So they're able to be rewarded for taking care of the earth. I mean, this is remarkable.
I'm actually on the Solar Coin chat group right now, and I've got a comment from Mr. Limburg. One thing that I think it's great about the Solar Coin is the reward system that other people can buy rewards from you for a known value at the exchange, and it's easily exchanged to anything, unlike frequent flyer miles or customer loyalty programs. And you can also hold your coins and stake them to earn interest. So this is an interesting thing. I had asked this question to the group like an hour before we had actually started. And one of the things that makes the whole blockchain network work, any of these cryptocurrencies, is participation. They need to keep a certain number of nodes on the network to validate other transactions. And so they incentivize this by actually giving you 2% annually, I believe, of any coins you stake. So because they need systems on the network to validate transactions among the network. So they will go and they actually give you 2% on any coins you keep in the system while running. You just run your wallet in stake.
You just run your computer.
There is no risk, but it's just like if you were mining Bitcoin or whatever else, but it's just there to validate transactions of other coins.
Perfect. And then, so we got 2 minutes, gentlemen, and I want to cover one more point while we're wrapping down. I want to give Jason an opportunity to plug his various initiatives out here. But I mean, when I see there's another concept here, which is that you're able to mine this Bitcoin, mine cryptos, but also solar coin moving forward with your solar system. So if you have a solar system and you have excess generation that you're not consuming and you want to use that energy, you could use that energy with mining equipment effectively, right?
You could mine equipment, you could mine Bitcoin, many of the other cryptos right at home. You can do it very basically with a computer that's got a graphic card, or you can step it up and get an expensive Chinese ASIC microchip miner. Right. But if you have, the idea is that if you have solar on your roof, mining becomes not only profitable, but it becomes ecologically viable.
So we're no longer creating.
I don't know about profitable. I've looked at those miners. I've thought about it long and hard.
Well, that's the thing. It is a tricky game. Some people are doing really well. The idea, though, is that it's not to be taken lightly. It's something that you should find professionals to help you with. Okay. Well, and on that note, what I do is I have a small consulting business called Hawaii Bitcoin Solutions. You can find us on Facebook, and we help people just get online and learn more about cryptos and maybe how to use them, and the best known methods for getting into the world of cryptocurrency.
Excellent. Well, we can't thank you enough, Jason Fellerman, for helping us understand cryptocurrency and SolarCoin in such a spectacular way. I feel like I've been educated, in a really great way today. Thank you. Jason, any last words?
We'll be putting all these resources up on the website. Check the stream. Listen again, because it's an awful lot of information to take in. Do appreciate the time, Jason. Appreciate it.
And how about you, Jonah? Anything last words here?
Thanks so much, everybody, for tuning in. Follow, like, subscribe on YouTube.
Hey, we are the SolarCoaster. We are sponsored by Maui Solar Project, Tabuchi Electric America, Sonnen Battery, and Pika Energy. And we have my daughter Julia right here. Stand up, Julia, and say hi and goodbye. Ciao, ciao. A future crypto. Come on, hello.
Not
okay. A future cryptocurrency user in the future. So thanks so much for tuning in to the SolarCoaster, folks. Have a wonderful weekend. Aloha.